Hi, this is Vaughn with Spirit of Health. We're still on the topic of hormones, and I want to talk specifically about women's health and specific related to their menstrual cycle. There's a lot of women having issues with their menstrual cycle, a lot of discomfort, a lot of mood swings, pain, cramping, heavy or light flow, irregular cycles as far as the timing goes each month. And we want everyone to understand that there's a reason for that, and that it's a sign of an imbalance, and we always look at everything from God's perspective and from a design perspective. And so we want to learn what's going on and how to correct it. Sadly, what's going on in our culture and in our community is we're not valuing the importance of the women's cycle, which is crucial obviously for fertility and childbirth. And oftentimes women are going to the doctors and they're giving them birth control and other drugs to try to properly manage their cycle or even stop the cycle. And some women would prefer to not even have a cycle because of the discomfort related to it. And that's actually very sad, because that's contrary to how God designed us to function and to reproduce. And so what we want to do is we want to try to figure out what's the issue is, and to try to restore the proper hormones naturally related to a women's cycle. So one thing that's really important that I've seen a lot of issues with, and with my wife, I can give you a great example, but so many women who are having issues around their menstrual cycle, it's actually related to a congested liver. The liver is super important related to hormones, and I'm going to explain how and why. So when you go to have your cycle, when it's that time of the month per se, you start to release hormones. And those hormones are chemical messengers. They go into the bloodstream, and their job is to make certain things happen related to pregnancy, potentially having a child. And so the estrogen builds up, and then we release progesterone in case there's a baby that can help hold that baby. And if we are not pregnant, if that doesn't happen, we're of course to shed that lining, and then that happens again the following month. Well, when we produce those hormones that go into the bloodstream and we don't have a pregnancy, those hormones have to be filtered out through the liver, and they have to be removed from the body. And so what's happening is that the liver is congested, those hormones that aren't needed anymore, that are used up and need to just be eliminated, are staying trapped in the body. And this is hormonal symptoms. This is why women are struggling so much with all these symptoms around their cycle, is because their liver is not eliminating the hormones properly. And think about it, why do we only have these symptoms around the hormonal cycle? Obviously there's something going on around the cycle that's causing these symptoms, and that's what it is. Often too, in childbirth, and when women are pregnant, I always ask how women are feeling during their pregnancies, or if they've had children. If they really struggled with their pregnancy and they had a lot of morning sickness and nausea and a lot of discomfort and issues around their pregnancy, same thing, often a congested liver. I'll give my wife as a perfect example. Our first daughter, when Naomi was being formed in the womb, my wife had a lot of the typical symptoms of morning sickness, nausea, food aversions. There were certain foods she said, get that out of the house. I can't stand, to see that or to smell that. And there were some of those normal symptoms. And we see them in our culture as normal. And I really want to stress to you that it's not normal. I had learned this about the liver, and in between pregnancies, and we had a healthy child, but in between pregnancies, we learned this about the liver, especially related to hormones and fertility and pregnancy, and we really worked on my wife's liver in between pregnancies. And during the second pregnancy with Noelle, it was a noticeably different, literally night and day experience. The entire pregnancy, no morning sickness, no nausea, no food aversions, and I love to tell the story about how my wife came up to me at about 5.5 months pregnant, sincerely worried that potentially she wasn't still pregnant, because she didn't feel any symptoms. She felt so good during the pregnancy and she felt so normal that she was actually concerned maybe she wasn't still pregnant. Now, 1 or 2 weeks later, the little pooch came out and we had a wonderfully healthy child. But working on the liver is so crucial for all of these issues related to women's hormones, fertility, pregnancy, and the menstrual cycle. So I think it's really important that we understand that. Because if we don't understand that, we're taking pain medications, we're taking Tylenol and ibuprofen, we're taking birth control, we're taking all these man-made chemical drugs just to try to cover up the symptoms of the miserable experience that we're having during our menstruation. And again, our heart is to get off of the man-made chemical system and get onto God's system, eating the right foods, nourishing our bodies to restore healthy hormone function, eating a liver-friendly diet which gets away from heavy foods like dairy and grains and complex sugars and all the processed foods, and really healing our bodies naturally, because what you eat is largely going to determine the health of your hormones and your liver and your menstrual cycle. So here's to hopefully some knowledge and wisdom to help you better manage your menstrual cycle, because it is important. It's important to life on this earth. It's important to God, your Creator. And I know it's important to you, especially if you're suffering with these symptoms, because we want you to be well and we want you to do it the natural way God intended.